Okay, so by the time this video goes live, we will be less than 7 days away from the 2025 Chicago Marathon, and I could not be more excited. But I'm also borderline psychotic right now because this is the least amount of mileage that I've run in actual months, so I'm starting to go a little crazy. And don't worry, if you're in the same boat as I am, it is completely normal. And in today's video, I'm going to cover exactly what to do in these final 7 days so you feel as confident and prepared mentally and physically when you get to your race day in 7 days' time. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Juliana, and this video is part of my 2025 Chicago Marathon Training Build series, where I am taking you behind the scenes of what it's like training for my 2:55 marathon goal here in South Florida. So if you're interested in following along with my journey and how I balance marathon training, growing my startup, and working a full-time 9-to-5 corporate job, please make sure to hit that bell button down below and subscribe to the channel. It really helps keep me motivated so I can keep making awesome videos for you guys. So without further ado, let's hop into the topic of today's video. Okay, so when you are 7 days out from your race, you are likely already 1 to 2 weeks into your marathon taper. So this final week of running is really just at a minimum to keep your legs moving, but you want to make sure that you're keeping it to a minimum so your body can feel as rested as it can for race day. That being said, if you are like literally any other runner that I know, including myself, you are probably going to start to feel a little stir crazy in these final 7 days because you are truly running less than you have in literal months. And so when you're running so little, you can start to have feelings of disorientation, anxiety, even extreme fatigue inexplicably. And it's totally normal to feel all of these things. That's your body recovering and just shutting down and preparing as you gear up towards your big event. So my first recommendation here is to take stock of all of these feelings, write them all down. If you've been following along with my channel for a while, you will note that I am a huge fan of journaling, not only logging all of your runs, but also just journaling out thoughts. And I talked about that a little bit in the video that I posted about a couple weeks ago, where I talked about my 4 weeks out game plan. But basically in that video, I talk about how you can journal about some of the key workouts that you've had throughout your training cycle, so that when you are now in this 7-day final countdown phase and you're like, oh my God, I feel awful. My legs are so heavy. I don't know how I'm going to be able to run 26.2 miles when running 2 miles can feel like a slog. You can go back on those workouts that you had journaled about throughout the training cycle, and you can see, okay, wait, I felt like a beast 2 weeks ago, so these feelings are probably not valid. But that's okay. If you haven't done that, and maybe you can do this for your next marathon training cycle, but if you haven't done that, what you can do is right now just take stock of all these feelings that you're having, write them all down, journal about them. And running is such a major stress relief for so many of us throughout our lives in general. And when suddenly we're dropping the mileage significantly and we don't have that same outlet that we normally can have via running, we start to get a little crazy, and that's totally fine, but we need to pour this energy out somewhere else. Okay, so another thing is I am the kind of person that is extremely indecisive, and I often wait until the final few weeks to figure out what my marathon outfit is going to be. I know I shouldn't do that. And then I end up wearing the same exact thing that I've worn in my past several races. So I need to retire my white Nike singlet and just dig a little grave for it, call it a day, say goodbye, bid my farewells. That thing needs to go. So that being said, I do have a new race day outfit that I plan on wearing, and I like to do a dress rehearsal run. I've talked about this in my other video that I posted a couple of weeks ago for my 4-week marathon countdown. But if you could do just one final run that's a dress rehearsal run where you have some marathon pace miles thrown in there, you want to wear your shoes, your socks, your underwear, your everything that you are going to wear on race day. Wear that outfit, do your final long run, or maybe even, your race week workout in that exact outfit so you know that it feels good with speed. Usually my workout on Wednesday before the marathon on Sunday is, I think, 6 or 7 miles total, and I usually throw in a couple miles of marathon pace in there. So I'll wear my exact race day outfit for that. And I've obviously been wearing it for a couple of long runs throughout the cycle, but I just want to make sure with fresh new shoes that everything is okay. Even if you're wearing the exact same shoes that you have always worn and it's just a new pair of them, just test them out one more time, especially if you're going somewhere and you have to bring those shoes with you. Just make sure that they work. So I would highly recommend doing that. Okay, so once you've gotten in your dress rehearsal run and you're feeling all fresh and fly in your gear, it is time to get that gear all packed up, especially if you are going and traveling somewhere for your race. So these set of tips really apply to people who are traveling to races, and here's just some travel tips that I've gathered along my journey, as this is now my 11th marathon, and I've traveled to many of them at this point. So my first tip is to make sure that you keep everything that you will need on race day in a carry-on bag if you are checking a suitcase. So I'm crazy enough that I will even go to the point of putting everything that I need on race day in like this little pack, and then I put that in my backpack so I can like literally have it on my body at all times, because God forbid they have to check my suitcase, you know, my rolling suitcase, and it gets lost or whatever. I just don't want to take the chance, so I have literally everything I will need on race day. I have my shoes, my socks, my gels, my hydration packets, I have my Vaseline, I have my warm-up gear. Everything is packed away in that little bag and on my person, no matter what happens. If the plane goes down, I will swim to land with that bag in hand.
That was a nice little rhyme.
Okay, so in addition to this little survival marathon kit, I am crazy enough that I like to bring like a backup race day outfit for what the weather is predicted to be. So, you know, like I have my A race day outfit that I've practiced with multiple times, and then I'm going to have my B race day outfit as well. So this is something that I've worn in other marathons, that I've worn on several long runs, that I know will work without a doubt. So I like to bring that too, just in case there's something wrong with that first outfit. And then I like to bring a third outfit, just in case that there are any crazy weather changes and I'm going to have to wear leggings and a long sleeve shirt or whatever, because the weather has suddenly dropped 15 degrees. So I like to have 3 outfits. You could just go with 2, like a warm weather and then a cooler weather outfit. So I'd highly recommend doing that, because you don't want to be out in whatever city you're in and then you have to go and buy something that you're not familiar running in. Okay, so then the other thing too, and I know multiple people always mention this, so this is not a new tip, but just bring warm-up clothes so you can wear at the start line of your race, so you just stay warm and your body doesn't get cold and shiver and burns all the fuel that you have so carefully carb loaded in the final few days towards your race. Okay, so then this is another thing that I always bring with me no matter where I go. And if you don't do this, maybe you want to start, or maybe you're like, this girl clearly has sleep issues, so we're just gonna leave her in her own little world. Okay, so I like to bring earplugs and an eye mask, because you never know what environment you're going to be in at your hotel. Even if you're staying at a really nice hotel, you can never control the volume that's going on outside of your room. And that is just like a little fail-safe way for me to make sure I can block out all surrounding noise. Okay, and then also if you are traveling to another country or anything of the sort and you like a specific brand of food for your race day breakfast, make sure to bring that, and or prepare time in advance that you can go run out to a grocery store and buy something that is exactly the same or very similar. For me, for example, I am probably going to eat Honey Nut Cheerios and a banana on race morning. I may not bring Honey Nut Cheerios from here because I am pretty confident that a store in Chicago will have Honey Nut Cheerios. But if I were traveling to a different country, I don't know. I might want to bring my Honey Nut Cheerios. Who knows? Okay, so race day fuel brings me to my next point, which is carb loading. So some people love carb loading, some people hate it, some people have never tried it, and some people will never try it. I have mixed feelings on carb loading. There is an awesome calculator by Featherstone Nutrition that is pretty helpful if you do want to be extremely scientific about how to carb load. And yes, carb loading does improve performance. There have been studies that have shown this, and it is an amazing tool. So the way that I carb load, in case you are interested in this, is that I have done full carb loading in the past where I've really tried to hit my exact grams of carbohydrate for my body weight. And I have found that being a little too analytical about it can kind of mess me up a little bit. So now what I do is I just make sure to overall increase the proportion of carbohydrates that I take in about 3 days leading up to the race. So essentially every meal that I'm having, carbs will be the main portion of the meal. But the key for me has also been to not stuff myself beyond redemption, because I feel like that's what honestly ended up getting to me, is that I was eating so many grams of carbs that by the time I rolled around to race day, I was literally rolling and like the bands of my shorts were bulging out and causing GI distress. So don't hurt yourself carb loading. Make sure that you have practiced it a little bit before in training. But yes, emphasize carbs and check out that Featherstone nutrition calculator. Okay, so the other thing that you want to do in the final 7 days before your race, and you can honestly even do this the morning of or the night before. The best is probably to do it a few days before so you can start to get used to what this might be. But this is the magical race day plan. So I do tend to do this the morning of because I've thought a lot about my race day plan and I kind of know what it is. But people do their race day plans differently. Some people like to have an A goal, a B goal, and a C goal. Some people like to basically just have a plan for how their pacing is going to start out and then adjust their pacing as things go on. I think you can really do it however you want. I'll tell you guys how I typically do my race day plan. So hopefully you've done several runs so you can understand what your marathon pace is going to be. The problem with me and living in South Florida is that even though I have done several runs at marathon pace, and it's more like marathon pace effort because it's very hard to run when the atmosphere feels like you are inside a porta potty. But basically, I will have, most of these marathon pace runs have been around 6:45. So the problem with that is that I don't know what that will actually translate to on race day when the conditions will be much cooler. So will that be minus 10 seconds? Will that be minus 15 seconds? Is that really just at marathon pace because I had to take so many breaks and I will be around 6:45? I don't know. And so my plan typically looks like I start out very conservatively with my races. So I'll start out, the first 3 or so miles, I'll start out at 6:45, maybe 6:40 if I'm feeling good, sometimes even slower just to get my body used to it. And then I'll go into 3 miles to 10 miles. I'll try to pick it up to around 6:40 if I'm feeling really good, 6:35. And then I will try to split around the half at maybe like 1:26 or so. And that feels really scary to say out loud because my half marathon PR is 1:25:54 or 1:25:56. I can't remember, but it's something like that. And I ran that at the New York City United half in 2022. So that is a long time ago, and being very close to a half marathon PR in a marathon is a little bit scary. But that being said, I haven't raced any half marathons really since then. I've raced one and it was here in Florida and it was like a bajillion degrees out and I looked like I had jumped in a pool after the race. So that was not fun. But anyway, that's my plan. And then usually after halfway, I just try to maintain my marathon pace until around mile 20. And then from 20 onwards, I try to pick it up as much as I can. So that is usually what my race day plan is. If I'm not feeling great, I will just adjust all of my paces down and I'll really just try to hold, in this case, if after those first 3 miles I'm not feeling great, I'll keep it dialed back to around that pace that I started out at. So 6:40, 6:45. If I'm feeling awful, I'll tone it down even more. And my goal will just to be to have fun and finish the race and hopefully pull some people through, encourage others. So that's what I like to have as like my C goal if I'm having a bad day. I always try to help other people throughout my races in general. If I see someone that's really struggling along or someone that's having a really hard time, I really like to pass people and kind of like bring them with me. I try to do that to at least like one other person throughout the course. But if I'm having a really bad day where I know time will be thrown out the window, I would try to pick up a few more stragglers and just really help them out. So I would encourage you to have a race plan and have some sort of approach and write it all down, journal about it, give yourself like a little pep talk, whether it's a few days before, the night before, the morning of, so you can solidify that plan on paper. Okay, so the other thing is also to make sure to write down what your race day fueling and hydration strategy is going to be when you do this journal, just so you have it solidified, you have your plan on a piece of paper so you don't forget. And maybe you don't need to do this, but I like to do it. So I just like to write down all my little miles and then I write down where I'm going to take the gels and around what time that'll be. So I like to do around like 20 to 25 minutes for each gel. I like to always have an extra gel on me just in case, because you never know. Sometimes when you are ripping open those gels and you're all sweaty, you can barely get a proper hole opened and then you need to, unfortunately, toss a $4 gel, which really sucks. But what sucks even more is not having the right fuel that you need because you messed up tearing. So it's aggravating, but just have an extra gel just in case. So that is it in terms of all of my tips for the final 7 days as we get to race day. So make sure to subscribe to the channel down below if you're not yet subscribed, because there will be a race day vlog and you're not going to want to miss it. So thanks so much for being here and for the support. Make sure to check out this video for some more running tips. I'll see you guys in the next one.